Let's do it 2 more times and rock the song, okay? Get me through the night shift.
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 Okay, y'all sound so good. Okay, now listen, do not leave me hanging when that part comes up because I'm gonna be so embarrassed if I am. Okay, but this is night shift, let's get it. Anytime I'm about to sing it, I'll like cue y'all in some sort of way, so y'all will know, y'all will know. Your temperature is rising. Your temperature is rising. Oh, y'all got it, okay, hey. Your temperature is rising. Are you ready for the light shift? I've been waiting for the right fit to get me through the night shift.
Get me through the night shift.
Your temperature is rising. Are you ready for the light shift? I've been waiting for the right fit. Here we go, y'all. To get me through the night shift.
Get me through the night shift.
Get me through the night shift.
Welcome back, viewers. It is I, James Kalm, the guy on the bike. I'm finally back from my summer hiatus and some other personal matters. Special shout out to our viewers in El Sereno, California and Midtown LA. I'm gonna try to go in here to the Pace Gallery and get some views of a huge Robert Longo exhibition. Stay tuned. This is the 7th floor, and I made a quick pass over the listing on the elevator wall, and I guess that the gallery is full of Robert Longos. I believe the title of the show is The Weight of Hope. And, well, I'm kind of approaching this with a sense of nostalgia. I think I've been watching Robert Longo's work since 1982, something like that, in Soho. One of the first shows at Metro Pictures. By the way, they've got a warning in case you are sensitive to flashing lights that you might not want to come in and see this part of the show. Well, I also could be mistaken, but I believe that Robert Longo actually directed a feature film back in the 80s. I think something like Johnny Pneumatic. I might have even had Keanu Reeves in it, I'm not sure. Okay, and here's a drawing. I don't see a title or a listing of the medium. Looks like it's charcoal. And I would estimate that it's probably about, it's maybe a 6-foot square. As you know, I start a lot of these episodes saying that we're going to go someplace and we're going to try to get footage of exhibitions. Well, today I was in the third floor gallery, and the lady at the reception desk stated that I could not use my Sony RX100 camera to record any of the images in the gallery. I did what I do and have been doing for about 18 years now, which is the James Kalm report went on the lowdown, and I tried to basically go through and just record the rest of the show without any on-the-scene narration. This is actually quite an interesting piece. This is based on a Goya, 3rd of May, one of the great paintings. Some people are saying this is the first modern painting. I'm going to try to weave together 2 or 3 different aspects of the exhibition. I guess the first aspect would be I would like to kind of deal with the history of Robert Longo and what they call the pictures generation. Second of all, I would like to just talk about some of the fascinating technical things that Robert has been doing for many years now. And maybe third, I would get into a little kind of a philosophical discussion of the ontology of images and one of the big driving forces behind the whole pictures generation movement. It's interesting to see how Robert Longo uses the photographs, various aspects of photographs, and over the years has sort of changed his idea from creating the images himself to going out and gathering images from the internet, TV, and these other things. And his kind of use of the TV cross-hatching and various TV distortions are interesting. Okay, this piece is untitled, Destroyed Head, Lamasasu, Nineveh. This is 88 by 140 inches. And, well, I've always been impressed with Robert's technical prowess, or his team of people that he works with. They're very good, and you can actually see this, and from a distance you would be hard-pressed to decide whether that's a photograph, some kind of a digital print, something like that. And I think that's one of the interesting things about this high-tech level of what Robert is doing. He's actually capturing aspects of the photographs that kind of this weird distortions or screen mores that make these things kind of questionable. This might be one of my favorite pieces in the show. I didn't get a title, but I assume this is Chinese communist soldiers, could be North Korean soldiers. But you can see that Robert Longo has gone in and done an extraordinary job of capturing all of the wrinkles and creases in the facial expressions of these soldiers very beautifully. And you spend a little time looking at these and thinking about the medium charcoal and realizing the extraordinary detail and the technical prowess that capturing these images in this kind of high def requires. Okay, I don't know the title of this one either, but I would say it's probably something like Big Tree. I follow on Instagram. I clicked on and my algorithms keep popping up giant tree hunters, and so I like the big trees. I think this actually kind of represents one of the other aspects of Robert's work that I find interesting, which is a lot of it is dealing with media, news stories. I think he's got a piece on the first floor that's dealing with the New York Times, 1 year listing of New York Times headlines. But he's also got several other bodies of work which are not politically tinted. They're not kind of views of propaganda. And but But they give him a great chance to get in there and really technically work things out, the details. This is titled Daytona Crash, 88 by 140 inches. Again, I think Robert has gone from being someone that produces his own photographs to being someone who is a connoisseur of finding photographs. I was talking about some of the things that he does that sort of blur the distinction between a photograph and a drawing. I would be, very interested to see how much of this he's actually changed. There are photographic things that he does, I think, that are fantastic. I'd like to know whether he changes the depth of field and whether he maybe adds things in. Okay, this is untitled, Burning Down the House, homage to Franz Klein. This is 95 by 126 inches. So I assume that he's referencing the great action painter, New York painter, Franz Klein, who was famous for his bar paintings, kind of the big stroking black and white pieces. And in this case, Robert is kind of using the beams, the structure that is left in this burning house is kind of a stand-in for Franz Klein's brushstrokes. That piece out there is a sculpture. I believe that's called Doer Solid in Black. I didn't get the title of this piece, but I believe this is a photograph of one of the sculptures that was removed in the wake of the BLM protests. I think this is some kind of Southern Confederate general, somebody on a horse. But again, there's a lot of great atmospheric things happening. There's the kind of the fog wafting in. You've got these very dramatic cranes hoisted over here. One thing that you can't see in the video is a lot of these areas, especially in the darker pieces, Robert has gone in and really ground in the charcoal in there. It gives you really a wonderful, rich quality that's very hard to capture on the video. This is titled Untitled Snake Pit. And I believe this is 70 by 96, something like that. Again, I think that Robert's got several different themes that he works on, modalities that he works in. This one, again, just the picture is so interesting, could be disturbing. I mean, it's beautifully executed. So he captures images, or he has photographs of images that are just mobs and mobs of various things, like these snakes. He's got crowds of people, bags full of empty beer cans, things like that. But they're so packed with these images that each little part becomes part of a larger membrane, kind of a photographic membrane. And well, they're impressive just as drawings, but also I think that it gives him a chance to get away from the kind of the constant social, political, propagandistic aspects of what he's interested in. Okay, didn't get a title on this one, but I think anybody who's been watching the news in the last 5 years can recognize this. So obviously a bunch of immigrants. But it captures a lot of the things that he likes. He's done a lot of paintings dealing with the ocean. This is great. I think that they talk about him as having a real compositional sense. And I would say that it's cinematic. And this goes to his talent and why I think he's a very important part of the pictures generation, because a lot of this, and he's made films, and I think a lot of this, the composition and everything, basically is cinematic. And again, you've got wonderful technical things. I'm always wondering about also, it's a lot of charcoal, but there's also half of the the work is the erasure. So if he wants to get into the white, he has to get in there and sort of dig through the layers of charcoal, and he kind of combines the erasure with the application of the charcoal. Down on the first floor now, and we saw the pictures, at least the video upstairs, where he had photographs of the flag and some other things that was being torn. So this is kind of a recurring thing for him. They've got a quote from the Constitution printed on the front of the gallery, and I guess this is kind of a symbol of the imperfectibility of democracy or of a nation. Hey, this piece I thought was interesting. There's also a sculpture upstairs, I think, that has got part of this. This made me think of a David Hammond's piece. So it looks like you've got kind of black tarpaulin or something draped over something. And again, this is one of those pieces that doesn't have an outright propagandistic thing. Well, as I said, I'm on the down low, so I'm trying to avoid being spotted by people at the desk. This piece actually made me think of the regionalist painters from the 1930s. I mean, this almost looks like something out of the beginning of The Wizard of Oz or something. This kind of, this old, I don't know whether that's a John Deere tractor or something. And it even looks like it's from an old photograph, so there might be a wrinkle or something in there. But great rendering of all these things. And one of the things I like about Robert is that everything looks so casual. This is not, this would be the question, how much of this is he like accentuated, changed maybe, like I said, faded out pieces, depth of field.
And the contrast that he uses between the lights and the darks, and the way that sets this tractor off in the landscape, a very abject landscape.
And great, there's a little leaf stuck there on the grill of this tractor, but it looks very desolate, kind of worn out. Maybe that says something about the agricultural dream of the American frontier. This is another example of what I was talking about with groups of similar objects sort of grabbed together. It's called Untitled Bag of Recyclables. This is a vertical piece. This is 120 by 70, so we're talking about 10 by 6 feet. And yeah, I look at this and I'm thinking, yeah, if you wanted to spend a lot of time, you could actually get that detail. And I like this part here where we've got the Pabst Blue Ribbon, and you can actually see the little printing on the side there, and the lights and the darks and the reflection behind the cellophane trash bag. Okay, this is a huge triptych. This is actually what they're considering like the keystone of the piece. This is New York Times, March 2020 to March 2021, and it's 3 parts: war, religion, and nature. And I would say that this would be the nature part of it. So they're saying this is March of 2021, so I guess that's before the California fires of last summer. But it's the same basic theme. You've got this horrendous, flaming, smoking hillsides with the trees that have all been burned away. And then you've got, it's almost like a Bruegel. You've got this little tiny group of firefighters with their shovels and axes in the bottom. This piece is titled Religion. And as I said, this is another example where he's just gotten thousands of very similar things. Also, I think one of the interesting things about this piece is if you get in and look at it, it's like most of the faces have been, well, blacked out. They're dark. You can't really see anything. And some of them, I'm sure, you know, they might be wearing COVID masks or other kinds of religious garb, but I think that it was kind of intentional that he masked out the faces of these so that they become just textures, just parts, tiny parts of a little whole thing, which might be there's one of the few faces that you can actually see. One of the things that he's trying to accomplish with some of these huge pieces, and I was going to say, I think each one of those is something like 95 by 126 inches, so these are all huge, and they're all sections of paper that have been mounted on board and then sort of placed together. Sometimes you can see the same. This is the war. Some Ukrainian fighter out in the countryside with his, I don't know what, it's like a howitzer. Ironically, I was looking at this cannon that he's firing and thinking that it almost is as rusty and decrepit as the old tractor that was at the other side of the gallery. You can see him with this little string that he's pulling the trigger on there. And again, even though these are still drawings, still charcoal drawings, you can look at this and you can see where there's a lot of action happening. The leaves are falling off the trees. There's smoke and dust being stirred up. You can almost sense that the trees are vibrating from the blast. And another, it's a great composition, but again, you can't really see the face of the soldier. He's just kind of a stand-in. I didn't get the title of this one, but I would assume that this is probably a Palestinian lady, some protest. I did think that it's amazing that you can look at this and it almost looks, you can see the little lines in there from the printer. So somebody, perhaps a mother, has gone in and taken the photo of her daughter, printed it out and taken it to a protest or something. And again, you've got certain kinds of details that are so interesting, like the ring and the face of this lady. This is untitled Three Graces from the Ukraine. Okay, so this is also a triptych, but it's different than the Times New York triptych. And you notice how these are much closer together. The frames are spaced much closer together. So I assume that this is a piece that is meant to stay together. And it's also based on a classic art history subject, the Three Graces. But again, it's not just the Three Graces. A lot of this, it's almost more the portraiture of the bullet holes in the glass windows. And I guess this kind of goes to the toughness, the resilience of the Ukrainians, especially Ukrainian women. And also the fact that things like glass are temporary, although, yeah, wonderfully rendered. Getting back to the history of the picture generation, so this was based on a Douglas Crimp exhibition that was curated in 1977 at Artist Space. Cindy Sherman was the secretary at Artist Space at the time. I think Cindy and Robert were a couple for a couple of years. I think they met at University of New York in Buffalo. And they organized a little thing up there in the studios called Hall Walls. And through Hall Walls, they were able to come in contact with Helena Weiner, who was running Artist Space, and her boyfriend, Jack Goldstein. Douglas Crimp
curated the show in '77, and shortly after then, everybody moved from Buffalo to New York. There was also a contingent of artists that came in from Cal Arts and had been studying with John Baldessari there. David Solly was one of them. I think that maybe Jack Goldstein may have not studied with John Baldessari, but was maybe his student assistant. Anyway, I was kind of nostalgic about all this stuff because all that's gone away. Metro Pictures is closed after about 40 years. And, well, I guess that's the way it goes. I didn't get the title of this piece either, but it looks like there's a lot of strange, disturbing stuff happening. Obviously, a lot of police in uniforms. There's the McDonald's Golden Arches back somewhere in the fog. Maybe that's tear gas. And, yeah, everybody's got their flak jackets on. Must be a scene of somebody getting ready for some kind of riot. And all kinds of things flying over there. Is that a tear gas grenade? We don't know. This is untitled after Gentilice Judas slang Holofernes 1620. So this has been James Kalm on the Lowdown, and we've been looking at an exhibition by Robert Longo titled The Weight of Hope at Pace in Chelsea. You can like this, share, link it up to all your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, reviews, and suggestions below. And you can subscribe. And we only ask you to do one thing. Say, thank you, Kate.
Get me through the night shift.
Get me through the night
Get me through the night shift.
Get me through the night shift.
Okay, y'all did that. Y'all did that. So that song right there is an original of mine. Hey. That song right there is an original of mine called Night Shift. You can find it on all of the music streaming places. All you gotta do is type in my name, which is Joshua Mitchell, and you'll find me on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Tidal,